enjoy my video about the Beatles?
Yeah, I did. I didn't watch all of it, but I watched the some of the most important parts, and I was also very taken, I must say, which I'd like you to retell if you don't mind, the childhood story you told, where you felt very abandoned and kind of panicked. I thought that was very telling.
Oh, that's a very traumatic thing that from probably when I was about 3 years old, and I
Yeah.
and I thought my parents had sort of disappeared off the face of the planet, and I was very ill, and sort of crying out to the babysitter. I misunderstood what she said when they said they're not coming back, and I've carried that all my life. That sort of panic and angst, which I didn't really recognize outside myself until I was about 15 and I heard the Mavish Orchestra and I heard it in John McLaughlin's guitar playing. I could
There
hear,
you go.
yeah.
That's so beautiful, Mahavishnu. That's so beautiful. It brought you that sense of freedom. And also, I want to ask you, um, Strawberry Fields Forever, what it means to you. Let me take you down because we're going to Strawberry Fields. What does it mean to you?
I just think the Beatles, those guys were just, they're regular guys and yet they get taken on a journey which is almost bigger than them.
Hmm.
And so much, there's so much, sorry, there's something come up. And there's so much that we all love is rooted in what they did.
Yes.
And so they've gone off and they're reporting back what they found out. And I think it's the beginning of not the beginning of, because I think Coltrane had done it before, but it's this idea of spirituality in music. They're so important and so famous and so all encompassing culturally, and yet they manage to bring these sort of esoteric ideas to normal people.
I love
So
it. I
that's
love it.
so that's when that's what they're taking you to, isn't it?
Hmm.
That's what the Strawberry Fields is, and it I've been on a journey with this channel with my love of the music and my love of especially what you've done, Rod, of having a much stronger connection 40 years ago when I first heard you drum on Wired, and having that connection and that staying with me, and recognizing something. I mean, you had incredible chops, and I appreciated all that. But there was something in there as beyond that for me that was welcoming. That's the only way I could describe it. And so I followed your career, and the fact that sending my love out has reached you, and we've become friends. And this is a really incredible thing that I feel has connected me far more with the belief that there's something way beyond me at work, which is a big
Absolutely,
change
Andy.
for me. Big change.
Okay. Okay. Well, hey, man. Welcome. Welcome.
And it's fun. We know when we first spoke, you spoke about the infinite, and you spoke about the feeling that we all have when we think about the infinite, which is almost like a thump in the stomach, and that you said, well, that's what God is, and I thought that can't be argued with. And that changed me, and I've got it on video. I'm talking to my hero, that I've reached across the world to, and that you're telling me stuff like that's a very powerful thing. So I want to thank you for that, Narada. Thank you
Thank you, brother.
very much for
Oh,
that.
thank you. I'm really blessed to know you, and our friendship is beautiful. You're very open. You're seeking, and you recognize me. You recognize people who want to do good in the world. I want to do good in the world. I've always wanted to do good in the world, but music became my way of speaking. And then I wanted to live, and I loved Jimi Hendrix. I loved that whole period of music, but I wanted to live. I didn't want to pass away, and that's why the connection with Mahavishnu and then Sri Chinmoy was so powerful in my life because it gave me a way of not having to do drugs or drink and yet still get high in the music and kind of understand what's going on in that high. You just let yourself over, and then something more powerful, more mighty can come through. And you get lost in it. And it's just a beautiful thing. So I'm really happy to be here. I'll turn 72 next Tuesday. So I'm really happy to be here. I made it. I want to go longer, but I didn't pass away at 30 or 40 or 50 or even 60 or whatever. So I'm happy to be here.
And I think that's it, this one of the interesting things now, being so much more involved in it, is how you end up in the right place at the right time. Because everyone talks about meeting John McLaughlin and that experience of going off with him and all that. That's a very interesting thing. But how did you happen to be there? Because I think so many people especially musicians who want to have some success, that's the thing they're chasing, and yet you've seemed to continually have such huge success. I can't think of a musician that's had so much success in such a wide areas, from sort of pop Grammy winning, through to playing with Weather Report, playing with John McLaughlin, through, it's so wide, and then also being a pop singer at one point, and I can remember watching you on Top of the Pops, but not in the 1980s, and thinking, what's my drum hero doing, singing. So but so that is, I think, when people watch the videos, my videos, or they're interested in following people like you, what do you think gets you in the right place at the right time? What brings these blessings to you?
I think it's all God's grace. You have to start there. It's God's grace in our lives. And I prayed, I asked God, and I worried about it. I didn't want to worry, but I would always ask God, how can I make it? How can I connect in this world? I don't want to just, you know, only shine shoes. I want to do something significant. And I was always on that trajectory of how I could meet people that would help my life, open their hearts to me. And I've always been very blessed, I must say. My parents were beautiful. My family's beautiful. People I've known throughout my life have been beautiful and very encouraging, which I think is part of it. And the band I was with before joining Mahavishnu was also very beautiful. That band, no one really knows about, but they're called the McGuire Sisters. I met them in Miami after coming from Los Angeles. Sandy Torano was the guitarist. He flew me on my first plane trip to Miami. And playing with him, he was really advanced. He was like Mahavishnu in that world of discovery and odd meters and take it out as far as you can. And they had enough money with their backer to have a warehouse where the warehouse was full of like an open space, I guess it actually was a wrestling gymnasium. So the
Mm.
cymbals and the bass drums would be like ringing. And so to hear the ringing really inspired me as well, because I was coming from California where I heard the oceans. So to keep the ocean going was always, wow, beautiful. And to hear the ringing was inspiring. So that band of McGuire Sisters then moved to Connecticut, up near Canaan, Connecticut. And then we brought in this young cat named Ralph Armstrong. Here he is, all this 17-year-old genius. So to be working with him was a great, rare quality as well. Sandy, Ralph, and this another cat named Billy McCoy came in to play with us. So now we have a new nucleus. And one of my helpers was Greg DeJoven. He's suffering a bit now with some kind of brain cancer or something going on. We say a prayer for him. But he
Yeah.
was always my guy to set my drums up, be in tune with me, mic my bass drum with an SVT amplifier so I could hear the hugeness of the sound. And in that place, eventually, after I met Mahavishnu and became friends with him and became a disciple of the guru to save my life so I wouldn't pass away, I was always on
Mm.
that thought. He actually came to this barn we had, this place, and he jammed with us. Mahavishnu is jamming with us in this barn with Sandy, with Ralph Armstrong, with myself, with Billy McCoy. And that was mind blowing. So just how these things happen, God only knows. But I did ask for it. I did pray about it. And I knew I wanted things to happen. And we worked hard to play. We played and sweat and sweat and sweat and sweat and sweat. So I'm really,
So
really blessed, I must say. It's all God's grace.
you and Ralph seem to have so much around you. so many other musicians that seem to benefit from being around you. And I think, Ralph Armstrong is the great underrated bass master of
Mm.
1970s fusion. The acoustic bass master that understands the art form right back to the beginning of time. And Ralph's an incredible player. And so you must have jammed with him so heavily that there was a link between you and Ralph that did John McLaughlin recognise, you think, that was something already there that between you two, because it's an incredible thing that you both dropped in together. That must have felt like having a partner in crime, because I always
We
thought
heard.
you at 19 years old doing that Apocalypse session. It's an
Oh,
incredible
I was 21, just turned 21.
20, yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
but it's so young, isn't it, to be in that situation with the pressure. Did you?
But we first heard Ralph on the phone. It was a gentleman who played bass with Miles Davis, named Michael Henderson. He was a friend. And Sandy Turano, our guitarist, spoke to Henderson, and Henderson said, "I can't do this because I'm jamming with Miles Davis, but I have a friend in Detroit that you got to check out. His name is Ralph Armstrong." So we call Ralph, and then Ralph plays upright bass over the phone to us, and we cannot believe what we're hearing. He's that clean, that precise, that fast, and that funky and slow when he wanted to be over the telephone. And we're going, damn, Michael Henderson really turned us on to a whiz kid here. And so we said, well, can you fly in to Connecticut and come jam with us? And he did. And Ralph Armstrong was not only great on that acoustic bass, but on electric bass, had the knowledge of James Jameson, Detroit, had the fuzz tone soloing skills of his own, could just take it out. So we were like, really like, we had discovered something here with this Ralph Armstrong. He was 17 years old. So I gotta give him so much love, because Ralph is a good person, hardworking, but he's just got such a genius gift. I have to just really just lay
I
it
mean,
on you.
and was he playing fretless back then, or fretted bass?
No, both. Yeah, fretless.
So he had
He was that was
he
his axe, as well as the frets. But
because I was
because
listening.
all
I
the
was
woo, all the
oh
sliding
God,
with fuzz tone was a big,
yeah.
big, big part of his sound.
I mean, he's the guy for fretless bass. He's the guy, and I think didn't he turn Jacko onto fretless bass? It was Jacko who
I know that
recognised.
Jocko wanted to take off his frets for the sound that Ralph was getting.
It's unbelievable for you. So that's the connection. That's an incredible, this band, the McGuire Sisters, an incredible connection for you to
Yeah,
to have. And
yeah.
the answer, I suppose, for the people watching this video is that you have to ask the universe for it, don't
I
you?
think that is the truth, because we don't talk about the power of prayer. Maybe it sounds corny, but I must tell you, it does work. There is a magic in just asking God, because God's hearing us constantly. Our frustrations, our sadness, our happiness, our joy, our sweats. So when you put out what you're asking for, what you're looking for with determination, it does come back round. I
And
must
you,
say
and
that.
you, and you, I've been praying quite regularly for the last 2 years, and I seem to be doing very well out of it. And I think, and, uh, and I think that one of the things is that that the importance of thinking, if I'm asking God for something, I better be serious in what I'm asking. You can't be frivolous, can you? You've got to think what you really want. What do you
Well,
really want
God
out of
hears it all.
life?
God hears it all. And Guru taught me so many beautiful things. Guru said, the highest meditation, of course, is in silence. You pray to open the heart, like a jet plane taking off. But once the plane is in the sky and is floating, then you want to meditate, and meditation is then listening to God. And when you listen to God, then you take a moment just to listen, and that's really critical. Um, Guru also taught us that different forms of meditation. Anytime you think of God can be a form of meditation. Taking out the garbage, washing dishes, scrubbing the floor, practicing your drums. Anything can be a form of meditation. But the highest is in silence, because we can really, really focus. Also, another great thing I've learned is that 5 minutes of intense meditation is better than an hour of easygoing meditation. The concentration in 5 minutes of the intensity is stronger
How do you
than an
do
hour
that?
of
No,
like, well, whatever.
you've had a
Yeah.
lifetime of this, so how do you get to that? I mean, I've always felt that my meditation was playing music,
Yeah.
and you know, hours spent trying to nail something Elvin Jones had done. I'm still trying to nail something Elvin Jones has
Oh,
done.
well, now I want to nail the infinite, but I'm trying to nail the infinite. Okay, well, go right ahead.
Yeah, but but this I've always been fascinated with this. How do you do that? What do you focus on
In
when to try?
meditation,
Yeah,
is it in meditation?
yeah,
Really, just to I think the easiest thing is the heart, your physical heart, your spiritual heart. You can think of it as a candle flame. Like just focus on the hearts because the heart is safe. The heart is like a emotion, love. Love is in the highest. You know, we say devotion, surrender, all those things, but the feeling of love and gratitude can just open your heart to let the good Lord speak. And then let us listen to that voice. So really, it's that simple. It really is not. And the mind can go around like little monkeys, but just connect. If it's just for 5 minutes, that connection is powerful, powerful. And then meditate and pray all through the day. Your music is meditation. Yeah.
yes. I I thought I'm going to talk to Narada again, and it's funny because it could be the first time we spoke when we just got in contact. I
Hmm.
think that was 2 years ago, and and it was around my birthday. And I said it was my
Yeah.
birthday. You said it's my birthday too. And I remember you
Yeah.
sent
Yeah.
me a lovely birthday present of a huge bouquet of flowers, which just lit
Right.
up the whole house, which because it was all a bit doom and gloom back then. And I can remember that. And then so many years later, I mean, back then I wanted to say, what snare drum did you have on Visions of the End Beyond? And you know, how did you do the wired lead boots and all that? But now, you know, I thought I really want to talk to. I want to talk to Radha about spirituality and God and how that. And of course, you come on us straight away. That's what we're talking about.
That's nice,
Which
man.
it's an incredible thing. I think that the whole secret, the esoteric secret of music is love, and how it connects us as people.
Yeah, you talked about Elvin Jones. I'm just saying, just these things that are coming to my consciousness. Elvin Jones once said that he felt like he could die for John Coltrane. Now that's love, because John's playing so much horn and Elvin's playing so much drums. He's given everything he's got for this genius, John Coltrane. And he said the feeling is I could die for John Coltrane. You look at all these great hookups in life, Billy Cobham and John McLaughlin, how they played so intense together, how Mitch Mitchell and Jimi Hendrix played so intense together. All these great hookups in life. It's really like everything you have, almost like a boxing match too. Everyone's laying it out there so intently. It's everything you have. Um, I just think that we have to just give our lives to what we love, and the good Lord hears it and feels it and helps us do the things we want to achieve.
We can't do it without other people, can we? That's the
That's right.
secret.
That's right.
You can't if you want to. So many people in this business want to be a success. You've had every success going. Like the other day, I was watching a YouTube video of you getting your Grammy and seeing you beating Quincy Jones and beating. Who else was there? I think Prince was sat. It was just like, oh, there's Narada. I was like, yes, you know, and incredible. But you can't do it on your own. It's other people,
That's right.
isn't it?
That's right. That's absolutely true. It's teamwork and it's love for each other. Whitney Houston would always make a prayer to Jesus before a session. She would ask God and Jesus to bless the song that she would be singing that day because she wanted that song to live. So I learned that from her too, the power of asking to make music that would be timeless. You know, Clive Davis was very instrumental in hooking me up with Aretha Franklin and then pushing the Whitney Houston music and all these great things. And he's in touch, trying to do his very best for these artists and with these great artists. So many great artists. You go back to My Vision Orchestra. Clive Davis was involved in that. I loved Laura Nyro in my teens. Clive Davis was involved in that. And Aretha Franklin's big hit with me, the Freeway of Love. He got involved. He got involved with discovering Whitney. Some of the Carly Simon stuff, Paul Simon's Bridge Over Troubled Water. I mean, there's just so much stuff that come down. So he's channeling it too in his way. We're all trying to channel, but it takes each other to make it happen. You talk about Magic Mystery Tour, Paul Lennon and Paul McCartney and John Lennon coming together with George Harrison and Ringo the Geniuses to make these things happen. So it's teamwork and it's love for each other, and out of it comes something magical. Right now I have a song I want you to know about on your show. The magic with Sting and Carlos Santana and Stevie Wonder on my song, The More I Love My Life. I'm so happy to have that kind of friendship. And Lino, Nicolosi in Italy, mixing it and putting it together with love. So I'm so happy to have these friendships. The real friendships in life. My friendship with you.
So you're sat in your legendary Tarpan studio there, aren't you? Can
Yes,
you
I
tell
am.
us a little bit about this? How long have you been there, and what have you done there, and how did it come about?
This is Tarpan Studios. I came here in '85. I came from the Automat Studios in San Francisco, and my manager, David Rubinson, who owned the Automat, said that there was a studio called Tres Virgo in San Rafael, California, that might be going for sale. And I said, okay. He said that we should go look at it because he knew the Automat was going to be closing down. And I came out here and I looked at this studio, and it was really cool. This room is a pre-existing structure, and it's built way. Every room here is sandbagged and metal, like protected,
Mm.
like soundproof from each room. Each room is soundproofed. So it's really a wonderful working environment where you can do different things or get different blends of sounds. So I'm very happy that it's a wonderfully built room. Then we brought in over time our different consoles. Now I've got you represented here by London, the Solid State Logic console, which comes from England, here with me. We have that just around the time of doing some Whitney Houston work. And in this room, when I first came in here, some of the first things we did in '85 would be Booker T on organ for the great Clarence Clemens, who played sax with Bruce Springsteen. The album You're a Friend of Mine with Jackson Brown, Daryl Hannah, Randy Jackson on bass, Corrado Rustici on guitar, Frank Martin keyboards, David Frazier doing my engineering. We had a young guy named Gordon Lyons, who was our assistant engineer, very, very kind. He kind of came along with the property because he knew all the ins and outs of the property. And that overspilled into Arista project of Jermaine Stewart. We don't have to take our clothes off. Preston
Mm.
Glass came with smashes, man. Preston's up in here with us, killing it. And Kenny G, Preston helped really produce and put down with. And oh my God, Aretha's records. And the second Whitney album, I Want to Dance Somebody Loves Me, was done here with her here. So
Really?
emotional. Where do broken hearts go? One Moment in Time. All of so many of her. Only hit that wasn't done here would be How Will I Know. That was done at the Automat. But beyond
So
that, everything was done here.
so did Aretha record in there with you?
No, the Aretha tracks would be made here.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
Aretha, I came into her life at a time when she would not fly. So I would make my tracks here, do everything, either backing vocals, even lead vocals, here. Take them back to United Sound in
Mm.
Detroit, the studio where she'd come, and then take off the demo vocal I put on and put her on. That's how it was done. And even with George Michael, I Knew You Were Waiting For Me. I Knew You Were Waiting. That would all be all done here first with our singers, Clay Tover Richardson's, Kitty Beethoven, my team, Jeannie Tracy, my backing team, Jim Gilstrap, my cats, Frank, Corrado, Preston, all the people, Dave Frazier, everybody again, putting it all together, and then going back to Detroit and then getting her voice on. So that's how it would always be. And I was very prepared. That's how we made so many records so fast, by making like really blueprints of how it should be so that they could do what they wanted. But if it didn't quite sound like what it needed to sound
Mm.
like, I had an idea of what it should be. And that would always help me. Yeah.
And what was the first session with Aretha like? Was that intimidating for you because she is a legend?
Yes, it was, to look in her eyes when she came into that room in Detroit with her fur coat, and she was still smoking at that time. But there, in the eyes, you see the fire and the genius of her.
Mm.
and she's looking to you. Um, she knows why you're there, and she knows she's approved the song, but she wants to know who you are as a person in the soul. So I let her know in my soul, in my spirit, that I'm here to make great music with you and respect you and not fight with you. I'm here to make great #1 records with you, and that's my intention. And then when the music comes on, she hears that good music, and it's like, oh, that's a sound. That sounds good. Now she gets excited. Our friendship's blooming, and I think the first two things that I did when I first met her would be "Who's Zooming Who," that track, and "Until You Say You Love Me." And you have to understand, at that time on those songs, her father had just passed away. She's taken a 2-year hiatus, a two-year break hiatus. And so this is the first recording she's done now in 2 years. So she's kind of getting back to being, herself, because she really suffered with her dad. And I could see that in her. And then she would ask me to rub her shoulder, very tender. And I would, just barely touching her. That's how sensitive she was. But the sound that came out of her body, the sound of Aretha, is just Godsmack. It will stop you in your tracks. The sound comes off this microphone, which, by the way, is the same microphone.
Really?
For your session here, I wanted you to be honored. This is the exact mic of Freeway of Love, Who's Zooming You, and Whitney stuff, all my stuff at that time.
Oh, that's it. That's my hair stand on it. On my
So
channel.
to hear her sing would be incredible. So my ears are so blessed to be the first to hear these sounds. That's what I'm most proud of as well. My Mahavishnu, the jazz rock fusion eras, and playing the heart and soul. And then as far as singers, being able to hear their voices is so incredible. And I must say, Aretha, more than any singer I've worked with, next to Whitney, loved the sound that she made, which just naturally came out of her. She would smile on hearing playback. She'd get lost in the sound of her own voice. And that was so beautiful. To experience her hearing herself was beautiful. Like, for example, I might get nervous. Well, let me comp something together for you, right? So there wouldn't be anything that she didn't want to hear. No, just play back what I just did. So you play back what she just did, she was like lost in it. Like she was hearing her own God. So I loved that. I loved that experience, to watch her face. Same with Whitney. Whitney'd be like entranced to her playbacks. So there's certain singers that have a great confidence and just love what they do.
But
Makes it easier for the producer.
is that your role as a producer to give them that experience? So, because that's not arrogance, is it? It's what that is comfort and the joy of discovering that we all have when we search.
You play the drums, so it can be nerve-wracking. That I'm not rushing. I'm playing all these fills that I'm going to do, or whatever, and that it feels good. It feels right. So that if you're there to help you, that, hey, Andy, relax, breathe, go do it, take your time. See, just those little things make you feel like I can take a time to get in my heart and do my very best. That's so important because you want the recording to last forever. So I'm there as a producer, a helper, as your coach to help you do that. And everybody needs love. I don't care, Aretha, Whitney, Mariah, Prince, anybody. They all need love. So the magic of love is a force. Like, may the force be with you is a force. And that force is real. And that force, those machines, be it tape or Pro Tools, feel and pick up on like a photograph. And I know that. I know that power. So I respect that power. And when you get the power of feeling good, I've also learned, get things quickly. Don't wait too much time. That's my way anyway. Like a meditation. Like I said, 5 minutes of meditation is stronger than an hour of easygoing meditation. I'd rather take 5 minutes and focus on what I need or what we're trying to do than just easy going to the point of now we're not really getting much anything.
Yeah, I think that's the case as well. And I in the studio, and I've had nowhere near your experience, but in the studio, I realized that I was going in and trying to play perfectly and make sure I got everything nailed. And that's what you got a recording of, someone stressed, trying to nail everything. And I started to realize it was like shooting at a moving target. I'm just trying to hit the target rather than being with the target and just playing. So I've learned to relax and accept the mistakes as being something special and just go for it. You know, there's a character to it, but of course, it's down to the ability of the musicians. And someone like Aretha, I've always felt when I've worked with singers, you could have a singer and they've got a nice voice, you put them in the studio, but they don't cut. The great singers cut through. Would you agree with that? The great singers seem to really cut through. Their tone or delivery or something about them seems to just power to the front. And the two big singers for me would be Aretha and Shaka Khan. And
God.
when you listen to Shaka Khan, her voice over time seems to cut even more. She almost pulls it down later on when she's having the really big hits and really focuses. Did you ever work with Shaka Khan?
Live. Uh-huh. When we had I Should Have Loved You, we toured, big tour. My second tour with my band. And it'd be opening for Brothers Johnson, that Quincy had produced, of a song called Stomp, that album.
Yeah, on
And
the
then it'd also
album.
be the Quincy production of Do You Like What You Feel? Do You Love What You Feel? And my band would open the shows. It'd be stadiums. You know, we'd open with I Should Have Loved all those hits and do some jazz rock of Sun is Dancing something. And then I'll become Brothers Johnson with doing Stomp, and then Shaka Khan would come on. And that's when I really got a chance to get to know her and touring with her. And I realized what power she had and what deep love for the music she had. Like, you go back and hang out with her sometimes, and she would hold speakers in her arms. And it'd be her new album she's working on. It'd be Anthony Jackson playing bass. And she would know every note of everything he's playing and sing along with it. And just like her babies. Then I start realizing she's not just the our Shaka Khan on the stage you see and all the soul riffs. She's a real musician.
Without a doubt.
She's a musician, like Aretha. They're musicians. They can play. Aretha can play anything on the piano. In fact, there's some footage of me playing with her the last 7 shows. One of those songs she plays on the piano, I think it's in New Jersey. Brand New Me, I think it's called. And her piano solo is like Nina Simone. I mean, she's staggering on the piano. So that's what I'm trying to say. These great people you're speaking about, they have a gift of all knowingness. There's an all knowingness going on.
See, that's incredible. Shaka Khan was very important for me.
Well,
Really important.
Whitney cutting I'm Every Woman. She's 7 months pregnant with Bobby in her belly for the Bodyguard soundtrack. Because that song was Shaka's song. All Whitney kept saying to me, am I as good as Shaka? Do I sound as good? Are my harmonies as tight as Shaka's? Is the feeling as strong, as beautiful as Shaka's? Is everything as on point like Shaka would want it? I said, oh, you sound great. Shaka this, Shaka that, Shaka, it's all Shaka. That was your
Yeah,
girl.
yeah.
And then in the room came Natalie Cole. She heard what was going on in the studio. Here's Natalie Cole, the great goddess, Nat King Cole's daughter. She sits on the couch and watches Whitney sing the song, I'm a Woman. So now I'm reading more rarefied air. And Whitney, the belly just shaking of her baby in the belly. I'm every woman. It's all in me. Everything you want done, baby. All that. And the harmonies. She wanted to do all her harmonies. So it was just so much love coming down for Shaka. Make no misunderstanding. And she comes from Chicago, Shaka Khan. And that's another thing we don't talk about too much. But Chicago is genius territory.
And she doesn't come from the
My
church.
dad came from Chicago, and we'd go there and visit. And incredible. Curtis Mayfield, the 5 stair steps, and the shows I saw, and the Regal Theater with Stevie Wonder doing fingertips at the Chicago show. And Walter Jackson falling out of the chair on the floor singing this uphill climb on the bottom. All that sound out of Chicago rivaled Detroit Motown, rivaled everything in the world. And then don't forget the blues. This part of Chicago where they make all the pizza. There's a blues alley where all the blues people play. B.B. King, all of them. And it's for real. So I'm only letting you know, man, there's so much music coming out of that part of the country. God, Lord. Go on, Andy. Come on, man. This is your show, man. This is your show, baby.
I, I met BB King twice,
Okay.
and that was like meeting somebody close to God to meet BB. an incredible thing. I met him in Finland. I was doing a gig there with Royal Plant, and they said BB's coming, and they opened up the back of the gig, and this big white Cadillac drove in. I don't know how they got it in Finland, and I ran down with a guitarist called Eric Sardinas, great guitarist, and we both met BB, and I said hello to him. It was wonderful. And then about a month later, I was in Italy, and I did a gig with BB, and we were opening up for him. And when I came off the stage and walked down, he, who was a bit frail even back then, he was being helped on with the guitar at the bottom. And as I walked down, he looked up at me and said, "Oh, hi, hi," like this. And I thought he recognised me. He don't, and,
Oh, yes.
and to have that guy. I mean, these are the people that. It's there's something that is I've realised goes both ways now with music, and that we're all connected
Yes.
through our love of it. So, you know, Shaka Khan, I've got to be honest, is so important to me. When I first heard her around about 1983, and I was into like rock music, Hendrix, Zeppelin, all that, and then when I heard Shaka's voice, that took me down. She was the doorway to Parliament Funkadelic and James Brown, Stevie Wonder, Curtis Mayfield, and all that stuff. It was Shaka that drew me in. And I can't remember the album, but there's a album where she does a homage to jazz, different jazz stuff, and she did this vocal arrangement, and it's got giant steps in it. And when I heard it, I thought, my God, she knows what she's doing. It's like this is one of the great jazz singers, one of the great jazz singers.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I want to come back to your BB King for just a minute, though. I want to say that this morning before my podcast with you, I spoke with BB's drummer for over 30 years, is Tony T.C. Coleman. And he got me revved up for this podcast with you. This BB strain going down. Because
Yeah.
He said BB knew everything about everything. I said, yeah, I know. I met him at the White House. He said, but tell me some stories, TC, 'cause I'm going on this podcast with Andy. He said, well, one time, these really kind of metal rock guys in the lobby recognized BB, and you're BB King. Oh yes, you know. And it happened to be Judas Priest, and BB knew about them, and it shocked them. BB asked him, "Do you bring the motorcycle on the stage with you? They're using in the videos?" And they were like, "Yeah, we do bring the motorcycle." "How'd you know that?" He said, "Well, I watch you guys." So they were surprised that he knew that. And then Tony says BB knew a little bit about everything because he'd watch everything, you know. And then Tony went to the Judas Priest show, and BB got a little upset because Tony didn't invite him to go see that show with him. That's the kind of guy he was. He wanted to go see stuff. He wanted to experience stuff. And then when I met BB at the White House, he was very nice to my mom. Whitney had just passed away, and they had the funeral. And I'd been on the show, CNN, with Piers Morgan.
Also a musical force in his own right, having a hand in more than 60 #1 hits. And he joins me now. Now at a very difficult time for everyone that knew and loved Whitney, and I'm sure you feel as distraught as everybody else about it. I just want to focus with you on the glory period of her recording. I'm sure you'd love to do that. You know, we've heard lots of stuff about her life and issues and so on, but as a performer, when you were making, particularly The Bodyguard, yes, and you came out with these incredible songs, how good was Whitney?
To me, Whitney is a talent that we had never known. I mean, I'd worked with Aretha Franklin. We call her the Queen of Soul. In my mind, I would kind of playfully say to her, "You're the Princess of Soul." But honestly, she was so powerful.
I said, "Whoa, don't hold back." That was really important that he felt my. And even though he might, during the playing, he played a little quiet, so I didn't want to overpower him, I still let him feel like I was playing hard. Yeah. BB King special. I have one more BB King special story I want to tell you that Carlos is channeling me. It's really important. When Carlos was a dishwasher here in San Francisco before he was the hot shot with the Santana band, he still lived at home with his mother. He washed dishes. You know, great guitar player, but just still struggling how to make it. BB King had come to San Francisco twice. The first time was to a black club, and it was just okay. People weren't really feeling him, giving him that much of respect, love. Just another blues cat, whatever. That's how it kind of came down. But the second time he came here, Carlos tells it that he was at the Fillmore, some big Bill Graham production, and it was filled with more of the deadheads, more of the hippie type people. And when BB King walked on stage, they gave him a standing ovation. And as they stood up and just really recognized his genius, Carlos tells a story that BB went to kind of hide his head in his hands, and he says that you could see his ring was BB in diamonds. You could see the lights hitting the BB on his ring, and then you could see the tears of BB being so emotional that these people were giving him so much love. And Carlos tells me at that moment he knew what he was going to do for the rest of his life. Quit that dishwashing and just take the chance on himself to be Carlos Santana. I love that story.
Oh, that's incredible. Well,
This is your show, Andy. This is your show, man. This is Andy Edwards' show.
Well, what can we say about Carlos Santana? My dad got me into Carlos Santana very young, and he'd seen them on the TV, and he said, "I think you're going to like this guy." So I went and got Amigos, which is still my favorite album, with Dance Sister Dance on it. Incredible. It's like disco, but it's like the highest disco music you've ever heard. And you've had an association with Carlos for many, many years. I've seen you crop up on his albums right back in the 70s. And he's another energy source, isn't he? There's something about him.
You got to interview him, Andy. You know.
Oh, please.
He's the true shaman. He lives it. I had never, to the point before I met him, I'd never experienced someone who was just so grateful all the time to God, speaking about God all the time, so grateful to God all the time. That's how he lives. He's just a grateful to God person. And when I met him, it was very beautiful because I was invited to Mahavishnu's home for the first time. And out of the kitchen living room area walks Carlos Santana. It's like, damn. And in college, he was a superstar. I mean, his album, the Santana album, all the cats smoking their little reefer, doing their little homeworks, that was the music. So here he is in John McLaughlin's living room, and then they're best friends. Then I come to find out, oh, they're making headway how to make the Love, Devotion, and Surrender album. Whew. Then I was invited to go to one of the rehearsals. I sat behind Billy Cobham, getting ready for their live show now with Carlos and John. I sat behind Billy on the floor, very quiet, like a little church mouse, and watched him behind him, the footwork, the sweat, how intense it is from behind him. Oh my God, it was just beautiful. Just beautiful to watch.
That band that they put together, which I think was Billy, it could have been Doug Roush on bass
and Larry Young.
Larry Young.
Yep.
And now I really want to talk to you about both of those guys, because these are two absolute giants. Doug Roush, did you know Doug Roush?
Yeah, I didn't do a lot with him, but I did meet him and I did do a jam with him. But I can't say I've ever recorded with him that I know of. Yeah.
But he was such a visionary bass player that seems to have got forgotten. He died pretty young, I think, didn't he?
Yeah, he was effortless, effortless, like Larry Graham style, the thumb, and just effortless, just like a motor, and genius. And Neil Sean from Journey always speaks about him, how much he influenced Neil, because Neil came up through Sly and the Family Stone with Freddie, Sly's brother, teaching him how to play rhythm, which I didn't really know that. I knew about him with Santana, but I know he had spent time with Sly's brother Freddie and Dougie Rauch, that whole thing. Even before he got with Larry, the bass player with Sly. So I'm saying this Dougie Rauch guy's been around at that time. Powerful. And also look at Larry Young, the great organist with Tony Williams and John McLaughlin. Probably one of the first fusionary bands. If we're honest about it.
There's some recordings of that band, the Doug Roush, Carlos Santana, John McLaughlin, Billy Cobham. I can't think who's on congas. There's a conga player, perhaps, Armando Perazza, and Larry Young on keyboards. It's one of the great, incredible bands, and they are just burning, absolutely burning. So that must have been what you saw, that band.
Yeah, but I have to say something. There's something about the energy of New York City. We don't speak about it. I don't speak about it that much, but I will tell you, after having traveled around the world, there's an energy in New York City that makes this music possible. that in fact drags it out of you. It just drags it out of you. The intensity of New York is so high that you play high and you just do it, and that's the sound. That's the sound. And I'm thinking about it in my life, from watching Billy then to my highlights of my life. When I played Mahavishnu Orchestra and I joined that band, we played a show, the Schaefer Music Festival, outdoor festival in Central Park, Mahavishnu. And it's outdoors, and there's mirrors above the stage. And in the mirrors, you see all your heroes. The Return of Ever Band, Lenny White, Stanley Clarke, Chick Corea, all the people of New York who loved Mahavishnu, John McLaughlin, they were all to watch that thing. And the people just packed. And then it begins to rain. People still stay. We're playing Sanctuary, that really moving spiritual slow piece in the rain. I'll never forget these type of shows in New York. There's such an intensity of New York. I want to fast forward then to one of my last shows with Jeff Beck at Madison Square Garden and beating the hi-hats open like this to match the intensity I'm seeing of the people in the front just wanting to soak in what Jeff's putting down. Something about New York, man. And the people that come are just like hungry. I met Cindy Blackman Santana backstage. I meet so many people there. Lenny Kravitz, so many people there in New York. Raymond Gomez is in New York. His intensity. Atlantic, the studio of Atlantic is in New York. There's just so much going on there. Hendrix was there. That's where Hendrix made his great stuff. Just so much going down. We got to give New York more love. It is the epicenter of the world.
I've made friends with Ray Gomez, and he will come on at some point. But I think he's had few health problems recently.
Who's that? I'm sorry, who?
Ray Gomez.
Oh, Ray's genius. Ray's genius.
Yeah, and he'll ring me up just out of the blue on Facebook. The first time I spoke to him, he rang me up, and I was like, "What's this?" And then, "Hey Andy, it's Ray Gomez," and he's an incredible guy, and he was telling me about. I think he played on a Larry Young album at one point, so I really want to talk to Ray about, because I'm fascinated by Larry Young. I think he's such an incredible player, deep player, deep paying player.
Yeah, unbelievable.
So what are you up to at the moment, Rod? You're in your studio. What are you doing?
Oh, I'm always doing things. This is my home. I love my home. I love to write and constantly record and constantly do things. So it makes me happy. No matter what the project is, I just love being, baptized by the music and becoming more and more fearless in the music, just to do whatever I feel like doing and not judging so much. The judgment can kill it. So I try not to judge, just let it flow. Let it flow. I'm
So
always running. And I'm very happy to have my team, Jimmy Reitzel, just to cut things for me and work with me, have a partner to work with. And my team, like yesterday I saw Frank Martin, I saw Anthony and Sarah's on bass, I saw Jackson Allen. I just love my people I can work with. Sorry. Yeah.
So tell us about this collaboration with Sting and Stevie Wonder and Carlos Santana, because when I saw that,
man.
I was like, my God.
Thank you.
That is a lineup.
I'm waking up 'cause I wasn't born to suffer. I opened up my heart and left the past behind. So many pictures, how a life should be, but nothing ever matched, and I wasn't getting free. The more I love my life, exactly how it is. The more I love my life, the more I feel the truth. I'm a drunk, but you are my only drink. As soon as I get up, and when I go to sleep, the only love you are right now. Your taste is twice as sweet since I found out how. The more I love my life,
Because it's the message of the song. It's so beautiful. There's so much feel and soul there. So could you tell us how you managed to get these legends to
Carlos is my brother, and he has embraced me in his heart. He's very kind to me, and he'll teach me. and he'll let me know that he loves Africa and he loves African music. So he'll bring to the studio 10, 12, 20 African CDs just for me to like check out the sound of Africa. And so as I listened to all these things, I got inspired for the song The More I Love My Life. And I asked Carlos, would he play guitar on it? And he said, yeah. So when he comes in to play guitar on it, he's playing really incredible. And then I get the
Really
idea.
incredible. Really,
Yeah, really
incredible.
incredible.
That's the thing. When I thought, oh, Carlos is on this, and then he comes on, and it's like, it's Pete Carlos.
Yeah, exactly.
He's all
It's Pete
over the
Carlos.
place. Pete
And I
Carlos.
mentioned him. I said, I said, I would love to have Stevie interact with you on this. So he was aware of that. So he really just played incredible. So then I'm on my knees like I'm gonna be Stevie to go back and forth with him on the song. So there'll be holes for Stevie to pop into eventually in the future. And I'm really, really happy that he played so beautifully. And then after we cut Carlos, I happened to be in New York to do the Rainforest show with Sting. We've done 13 of them. This is more toward the end now, of the 10th, 11th, 12th, 13th show, one of the last ones. And I asked him, can he come in early, a day early, and meet me at Jimi Hendrix Studio, Electric Ladyland Studios, and do a vocal on the song I've got? He said, sure. He's so kind to me. Sting's so, again, these people are so nice. And he comes in the studio and he hears that track and he just puts down that part you're hearing, a verse and chorus, and harmonizes it, and it's just Sting. Thank you, brother. Thank you so much, And then as it works out, I come back to California and I then ask Stevie. It's hard to get Stevie because he's always busy. He's always busy. But our friendship is deep. And he knows how much I love him. He knows what a hero he is to me. And he makes time to come to the Capitol studio, the one that Frank Sinatra and Nat King Cole and Dean Martin built. He comes to that studio. I play him the track. He has to fiddle around to find the right key for the harmonica. But once he finds the right key, I teach him that little intro theme. He plays that little intro theme. But then in the end, I say, listen, go back and forth with Carlos. There's holes for you to play in. Just see whatever comes to you. It's almost a first take. All that incredible thing that he plays on the end of that record, I want to say it's almost a first take. I don't remember laboring on it. He just played it. Just incredible. I mean, probably some of the best harmonica I've ever heard him play is on that song.
Yeah, the contributions are incredible of these three people on your song, and it's a testament for their love for you, Narada. That you could just feel it. And I think you've just sent out so much love to the world, and and I this channel I've spoken to so many of my heroes and got in touch with so many of them, but I do think that you have something else that you have been able to put out into the world, and it's like, it's sometimes you're a massive hero of mine, and I'm just so privileged to be able to say that to you because I know it means something to you as well.
Yeah, it does. Thank you so much. I love your love. Sorry. I love your love, Andy. You're kind to me, and you're supportive, and you get the music, and I love that. I just love that you get the music, man. And I love that you play the music, and you're becoming a true beast. You've always been a beast, but now you're a beast. You're a beast.
It's all your licks.
No. You're doing your thing, man. You're doing your thing. Oh, I want to say about the more of my life before I finish. I want to say that song then, on making this new album for Euphoria, a partner of mine, Lino Nicolosi, then came in and mixed that song for us, and making sure that it worked for the European market and for the American market, for the other markets they're going for. So that's what I want to also give a lot of love to at this time. So I want everyone to go hear this record, Euphoria. There'll be a new single coming out for summertime, Euphoria Part 1 and Part 2, that features Carlos. So God bless us.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, see, yeah, if you're a Carlos Santana fan, you've got to hear this because he's playing out and out. There's a spirit to that guy. I mean, how many guitarists can play with John McLaughlin? How many guitarists can go up against John McLaughlin and be equal to them in their own way? I can remember the Life Divine on Love, Devotion, Surrender, with Billy Cobham on drums. Carlos kills John McLaughlin. he goes to heaven on that.
Well, Mahavishnu would love that because he loves when people just excel and
Yeah.
go beyond and go beyond. He loves it. That's one thing about Mahavishnu is so beautiful. He really encourages and pushes us as drummers, as musicians. Whatever is your gift, do it. Fly, go there. You know, and for my drum solos, Annie, you'll appreciate this. The third hour of my drum solo would come. The third hour. After 3 hours of playing that intense music, he'd come back and expect a drum solo and want one. And he'd shake the sleigh bells. He'd shake the sleigh bells and say, "Joy of the Supreme, Michael." I wasn't Narada then, I was Michael. "Joy of the Supreme, Michael. Joy of the Supreme." And that would launch me into another world. Just hearing him say that. Joy of the Supreme. I'd look at him, he'd smile. So that's who he is. He encourages us to fly with his band Shakti. Everything he's around, people flying. Jan Hammer flying, Billy flying, Tony Williams flying, everybody's flying.
I've spoke to so many people about John McLaughlin, and there's so many stories that I have amassed about this guy that seems to where somebody told me that they took him to meet a famous astronomer, and the guy was trying to explain to John about this astronomical thing, and then they suddenly realized that John knew all about this. He knew all about space. He knew all about this very specifics, and someone else told me a story about how they'd taken him to see a historian about the American Civil War, and John knew all about this Civil War. And he seems to be like a polymath. He has studied the world deeply, hasn't he? And
Yes.
I think you, Carlos, and John are all linked by one thing, and what it is that you've had big success and been able to reach big audiences, but you've been able to retain this spirit, and it's quite astonishing. All of you have. I find this fascinating. Carlos Santana, one of the biggest bands in the world. Caravanserai, Welcome, Borboleta, Lotus. Those are heavy albums. They're heavy. They're as heavy as can be. And Carlos managed to get that out into the world. And then when he did that great big, is it the Supernatural album?
Yes.
I felt that Carlos knew what he was doing at that point. I thought Carlos had a vision, or you felt when that album came out, say, right, Carlos is coming back, and he knows he's ready. He's ready. The world is ready, and
he told Clive he wanted to be back. He wanted to go back on the radio again.
Is that
was
true?
He was ready for the radio. And Smooth, to be honest with you, is the second biggest song of all time. The number one biggest song of all time for radio is Chubby Checker the Twist. Number two is Smooth by Carlos Santana. So they conquered radio.
Yeah.
They definitely conquered radio.
The reason why I'm coming back to this again, because I know I'm getting approached by so many people, and they want to know how to get their music out there, and they want to be. They think they want to be famous or have an audience or whatever it is, but really deep down, I know what it is that for the true ones, they want to be able to express themselves, and they want to be creative, and they're trying to find a way of being able to sustain their creativity. Have you got any advice for musicians? Because that is fundamentally, I think, what we all want, isn't it? It doesn't matter whether you're famous or not. If you're a creative person and you can sustain your creativity, that means get up today, be creative, get up tomorrow. And so many people are frightened of being creative because they find themselves when they're creative. And that's a frightening thing. And that's
Don't be frightened. This whole fear thing, get rid of that. That only puts water on the fire. So no fear. Fear is no good. If it was, if it is at all, it's only to channel it to be fearless. Like when Mike Tyson going in the boxing, of course he's nervous. He's going to fight a grown-ass man in a ring. So there's an element of fear. So you turn that fear into we're nervous to go on stage with Mahavishnu. Of course you're going to be nervous. It's the genius. You're going to go on stage, or Hendrix, or anybody. There's an element of nerve, of course. But get yourself together. Pray, meditate, get yourself together so you can do your best. Take that fear and be able to take it into the fire. That's what we need. Like John McLaughlin would read to us before we go on stage. You'd read Vivekananda. Vivekananda was one of the first Indian prophets to come to this country, America, and teach about reincarnation. And Vivekananda would be like raw. He'd be like, be not lambs for God. Be lions for God. Roar. Then you go on stage and play. So I'm saying to you, that's where it lives. Inspire yourself to be inspired. Inspire yourself to have a good time. Inspire yourself to be happy. Inspire yourself to be, I can breathe. I have life. I can do these things. I get to do these things. I get to play drums. I get to sing. And turn yourself on. Turn yourself on with the magic of it all. Don't let your mind talk you out. Because don't forget, if you break it down, what Guru taught us, there's 5 parts. First comes the spirit that gets the message from God. Then comes the sensitive heart that goes, I feel it. Then comes the mind that goes, well, what is this? Is it bad? Do I judge it? Or do I allow it to happen? So you got to discipline that mind and say, no, let it happen. Then comes the energy, the vital energy. I can do this. And then comes the body, 5th down, that actually does it. There's 5 parts of us. So let those 5 parts function. Let the soul be the leader. Let the spirit be the leader.
That explains something. Because
then comes the spiritual heart. Let the heart feel it. Let the heart explode with it.
that's the
Get along with it. Let that mind help you with it. Concentrate. Concentrate on that lick. Concentrate and get that thing right. Give that mind a job. Do what I say do, mind. I ain't doing what you say do. No. You do what I say do. Then comes the energy. Come on, energy. Come on. Be divine. Be dynamic. Then your body. Be a champion body. Roar body. Come on. All those things function to make greatness. Over the years, we look back on our lives. Damn, what we still can do. So this is what I want to impart to your audience and to you and to myself. That we get to do these things. And we ask for it. You've asked for the talent from God that you can play the way you play. I asked for this gift. God said, okay, I'll give you a gift, but don't forget one thing. I said, what? Be grateful. And tell the world to be grateful. I can do that.
That's what I wanted from today, Nara. You've done it. It's done. It's done. Job done. Go home now.
I'm gonna have that on. I'm gonna have that on, man. My job is done.
Your job is done. That is it.
Okay. Thank you.
That is
Love
it.
you, Andy.
The 5 steps down from above. Ask for it and then be grateful for it. Narada, I do love you ever so much. I've loved you for 40 years.
Happy birthday. Hey, man, what day is your birthday again? What day?
It's on Sunday, 21st of April, and yours is 23rd.
Man. Okay. Make sure you text me that address to make sure I got it right again. And mine's 23rd, just after
23rd.
you. Next Tuesday. Yeah, baby.
Yeah.
I love you.
And I think love you too, Narada. It's so I value this so much, and I cannot tell you. I've been through so much. I haven't been through troubles. I thought I was going through troubles. I wasn't. I was going through a transformation to somewhere else, and I've realised that we always are. And so I'm so happy to be able to sit down and chat with you again, and talk about this stuff. And I hope I don't class myself as a religious person. I am who I am, but this stuff we're talking about is powerful stuff, and I think the fact that you and me are friends is proof that the universe is far more mysterious than we give it credit.
Yes, and one last thought about the religion and spirituality I like very much. Aspire to become one with the roots of the tree. In other words, the limbs of the tree are all different religions. Muslims, Catholics, this, that, all the kinds. God's everywhere. God's everywhere. Truth is everywhere. But if we also become one with the roots of the tree, no matter what the limbs are, we have love for each other because we're one with the roots. This is so important to have spirituality, love for the roots.
That's what the world needs.
That's what
world
it
needs.
We all can have love. Yeah.
We need to send that out to the world at the moment. There's too much of the branches fighting each other and not enough of the roots. So true. I'm going to finish up there. Can you say bye to all the lovely viewers? Bye, viewers.
Bye, viewers. It's been fantastic. I love this show, Andy Edwards Show, and I look forward to doing a yearly chat with you cats.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And thanks for listening to me, and thanks for giving me
the legend of NARADA Michael Walden, the reason why we're all here, the reason why my channel's here. This is the man.
I'm so happy. Thank you. Love you so much. Thank you.